The shift. I was never the kind of man to overanalyze things. If something felt off, I addressed it. If there was a problem, I fixed it. That was my approach to everything, my career, my friendships, and, most importantly, my marriage. But what happens when the problem isn't something you can fix? When the issue isn't spoken but lingers in the air, heavy with unspoken words. Lately, my wife had changed. At first, I ignored the signs. She spent more time on her phone than ever before, laughing at messages I never got to see. Whenever I asked what was so funny, she'd just shrug and say, "Oh, nothing. Just a meme." When I suggested dinner together, she'd decline, claiming she was too tired, only to leave the house an hour later, suddenly full of energy, heading out with her friends. The space between us wasn't just emotional. It was physical. The casual touches, the inside jokes, the spontaneous moments that once made our marriage feel alive, gone. I told myself it was stress, just a phase. But deep down, I knew better. Then came that night. We lay in bed, facing opposite directions. The silence between us was thick, suffocating. She sighed, as if weighing whether to speak or keep it to herself. Then in a quiet voice she whispered, "I need more excitement in our marriage." At first, I wasn't sure I had heard her right. I turned slightly, expecting her to explain, to say something more, but she didn't. She just lay there, motionless, as if those words meant nothing. There was no warmth in her voice, no longing, no plea for us to reconnect. It wasn't a question. It wasn't even a request. It was a statement, flat, dismissive, like she had already made up her mind about something. I didn't respond. I couldn't. 1,000 thoughts raced through my mind at once. More excitement? What did that even mean? Had she already found it somewhere else? Was she testing me? Waiting to see if I'd jump through hoops to win her back? Then it hit me. She wasn't asking for excitement. She was telling me I was enough. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was heartbroken, not even because I was angry, but because something inside me shifted. For so long, I had been the one trying to hold things together, the steady, reliable husband. But if predictability was a problem, if stability was boring to her, then maybe I'd been going about this all wrong. By sunrise, I had already made my decision. I wasn't going to beg for her attention. I wasn't going to fight for a marriage she had already checked out of. She wanted excitement? Fine. She'd get it, but not in the way she expected. A new beginning. The next morning, I didn't mention what had happened the night before. No questions. No confrontation. Nothing. If she was expecting me to ask for clarification, to seek reassurance, she was going to be disappointed. Instead, I got up earlier than usual, took a longer shower, and for the first time in a long time, I really looked at myself in the mirror. When was the last time I had put effort into myself? Not for work, not for an occasion, just for me? The answer was obvious. It had been too long. So I made a change. I left for work without my usual "see you later." When she texted me about something trivial, likely expecting my usual predictable response, I kept it short. No emojis, no unnecessary words, just straight to the point. By lunchtime, I had already booked a haircut, not just a routine trim at the nearest barbershop, but something better. I walked in and told the guy, "Make me look like I belong somewhere else." He chuckled, but when I walked out, I saw it. Confidence. And I wasn't stopping there. New clothes, nothing flashy, just sharper, better. A fit that suited me, a look that felt right. Then came the gym. I wasn't out of shape, but I hadn't pushed myself in years. That changed now. The shift continues. That same evening, I signed up and threw myself into the grind like never before. Every drop of sweat was fuel. Every rep a reminder I was no longer the man she had taken for granted. When I got home, she was on the couch, scrolling through her phone like always. Normally, I would have sat beside her, made small talk, maybe asked how her day was. Not this time. Without a word, I walked past her and headed straight to the bedroom. A few minutes later, her voice broke the silence, hesitant. "Where were you?" From the closet, I pulled out one of my new shirts, something sharper, more refined than my usual choices. I took my time buttoning it before answering, just adding a little excitement to my life. The flicker in her eyes, the subtle shift in her expression. It was small, but I caught it. Confusion. Maybe even the faintest trace of discomfort. Good. That was just the beginning. The new dynamic. Over the next few days, I made sure to stay unpredictable. When she asked about my plans, I kept things vague. If she mentioned going out with her friends, I didn't react at all. I stopped asking where she was going, stopped waiting up, stopped acting like I needed to be involved. The dynamic between us was changing, and I could feel it. She wasn't used to this version of me. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't the one chasing her. Now, it was her turn to wonder about me. At first, she pretended not to care. Maybe she thought I was sulking, going through some temporary phase. She still went out whenever she wanted, still kept her phone glued to her hand, still acted as if nothing had shifted. But it had. I saw it in the way she glanced at me when she thought I wasn't looking, in the way she hesitated before walking out the door, in the way she'd pause when she saw me getting ready, as if trying to figure out what had changed. Because something had. I was no longer predictable. I wasn't sitting around waiting for her to come home. I wasn't wasting time wondering where she was or who she was with. My schedule was mine. My life was mine. I started going out without explanations, without hesitation. Sometimes with friends, sometimes alone, sometimes with new people I met along the way. If she asked where I was headed, I'd just smile and say, "Out." No details, no reassurances. She didn't know what to do with that. The turning point. One night, as I was getting ready to leave, she was on the couch again, phone in hand. But she wasn't really looking at it. I could tell. "Going out again?" she asked, not looking up. I grabbed my keys. "Yeah." She hesitated, just for a second. "With who?" I slipped on my jacket and shrugged. "You don't ask me that when you go out. Why should I?" That landed differently. For the first time, she looked at me, really looked at me. Something shifted in her expression. She parted her lips like she wanted to say something, but I didn't give her the chance. I walked out the door without another word, and that's when I knew she was starting to feel it. The uncertainty, the insecurity, the feeling of not knowing what was going on in someone else's head. The same feeling she had made me live with for months. But it didn't stop there. I caught her paying attention to my phone, not outright snooping, but subtly glancing when I was texting. She started hovering more, making casual comments about who was liking my photos, about the women suddenly engaging with me online. And I saw it. The first cracks in her confidence. She had spent so long believing that, turning the tables. She had always assumed I would be there, waiting, trying, chasing. She thought she held all the control. She didn't. Not anymore. And I wasn't about to make it easy for her to reclaim it. At first, the shift in her behavior was subtle. It was in the way her eyes followed me when she thought I wasn't paying attention. The sudden curiosity about things she had never cared to ask before. "You've been going out a lot lately. Who are you always texting? You never used to dress like this." Each remark, every question was tinged with something she wouldn't admit. She was feeling exactly what I had endured for months, and I could tell she didn't like it. One evening, I got home later than usual. She was already in bed, but I knew she hadn't been sleeping. Her phone lay beside her, the screen dimming, as if she had just been scrolling. The air between us was thick with unspoken words, but I didn't acknowledge it. I moved through my routine as if nothing had changed, but we both knew something had. "Where were you?" Her voice was quiet, control, but there was an edge to it. I didn't look at her as I unfastened my watch. "Out." She shifted under the covers. "With who?" I met her gaze for just a second before letting a smirk play at the corner of my lips and turning away. "Does it matter?" Her jaw tensed. Her fingers curled slightly in the sheets. Good. That was exactly how I had felt when she brushed me off, when she avoided my questions, when she made me feel like an afterthought. Now, she was the one experiencing it, and I could see just how much she hated it. Cracks in the foundation. Over the next few days, she tried hard to pretend nothing was wrong, but it was obvious she was struggling. She started staying home more, turning down invites from her friends, the same one she had once dropped everything for. Her phone wasn't glued to her hand as much. Instead, she was watching me, analyzing, trying to piece together the changes she couldn't control. Then came the night she finally broke. I was getting ready to go out again when she spoke, this time with a hint of desperation. We should do something this weekend. I buttoned my shirt, deliberately slow. Like what? I don't know. Maybe a trip? Just us. We haven't done anything like that in a while. She forced a smile, trying to sound casual, but I saw the tension beneath it. I met her gaze, held it for a moment, then shook my head slightly. Can't. I already have plans. Her face paled. She hadn't expected that. Plans, she echoed, almost like she didn't believe me. I nodded. Yeah, but hey, I hope you find the excitement you were looking for. She didn't respond. She just stood there, staring at me, the weight of realization settling in. Now she knew what it felt like. And I wasn't sure she was ready for it. The shift in power. The moment I shut her down, something inside her changed. It was almost visible. The way her confidence wavered. The way uncertainty crept into her expression. She had spent months distancing herself, treating me like I was just another fixture in her life. Something constant and reliable. But now I was the one slipping away. At first, she clung to her pride, acting as if it didn't faze her. But I saw through the facade. The late nights out with her so-called friends, they became fewer. The endless plans that never included me, they started disappearing. She was home more now, lingering in my space, pretending she was just too tired to go out. Right. She wasn't staying in because she wanted to. She was staying in because she was starting to worry about me. Then came the conversations, the sudden forced small talk, the questions she hadn't cared to ask in a long time. So, what have you been up to? Are you working late tonight? I noticed you've been talking to a lot of people lately, making new friends. She was fishing for answers, for reassurance, for anything, but I gave her nothing. Instead, finally free, I let her feel it. The doubt, the unease, the same emotions I'd endured for far too long. And when the weight of it became too much, she started pushing back. One evening, as I was getting ready to leave, she appeared in the doorway, arms crossed, feigning nonchalance. You know, we haven't spent much time together lately. Her voice was casual, but I caught the hesitation beneath it. I adjusted my watch, barely sparing her a glance. Yeah. She shifted slightly, her confidence wavering. Maybe we should change that. A faint smirk crossed my face as I shook my head. You never seemed too concerned about that before. That one hit. She exhaled, looking away for a second, scrambling for the right words. I guess I miss us. Miss us. Now she missed me. After all the nights she made me feel like a stranger in my own marriage. After all the times I was met with indifference. Now, suddenly, she realized what she had. I wasn't falling for it. That's interesting, I said, slipping on my jacket, because I don't think I miss what we were. Her expression faltered. She opened her mouth, searching for something to say, but I was already walking past her. She wanted my attention. Too late. That night, as I stepped out the door, I knew something between us had permanently shifted. The power dynamic that had ruled our marriage, the one where she held all the control, where I was left questioning, waiting, hoping, was gone. And she knew it. The desperation. From that moment on, she wasn't just vying for my attention. She was desperate for it. Suddenly, my phone lit up with messages from her throughout the day. Hope you're having a good day. What time will you be home? Questions she had never cared to ask before. She started making an effort again, dressing up when I was around, wearing the perfume she knew I liked, brushing against me casually when she walked past. Subtle hints, small gestures, invitations to reconnect. One evening, as I was about to head out, she stood near the door, shifting uneasily. Going out again? Yeah. I shrugged, slipping on my jacket. She hesitated, then forced a small smile. Maybe I could come with you? That was when I knew. She wasn't just regretting what she had done. She was afraid. Afraid that I had moved on. Afraid that I had found the excitement she had once craved. But here's the thing. This was what she had wanted. She was the one who pulled away first. She was the one who sought something more. Now that the reality hadn't played out the way she expected, now that I had found something better, she wanted me back. And the truth was, I didn't care anymore. Because in the weeks that had passed, I had changed. I had met new people. One woman in particular. Someone who truly saw me. Who laughed at my jokes. Who made me feel appreciated instead of tolerated. And being with her made me realize something. I was done trying to fix something that had already fallen apart. So I looked at my wife, the woman who once had all my love, my loyalty, my trust, and I felt nothing. You wanted excitement, I said, my voice calm, and I guess I finally found it. But the difference? I didn't regret it. Her face fell, lips parted as if to say something, but for the first time, there were no words, no excuses, no more games. I opened the door, stepped outside, and took a deep breath. I had made my decision. I was done, and for the first time in a long time, I felt completely free.